Okay, guys, it's Patriot Ginge here, and I just want to read through this Twitter thread that I made up earlier for those of you who prefer not to read and just to listen. So I'm going to read through it, and I may make some additional comments as I go. Okay, here we go. An ever-winding rabbit hole took me from the Gates-Epstein connection to the MIT Media Labs, to NEOTENY. This one is huge. And then to all these safe haven websites and resources for boy lovers, girl lovers, diaper lovers, etc. We need to shut them down. Okay, what you're going to see here are a couple of these sites that are geared straight for boy lovers, and here you see the boy lover symbol as shown in declassified documents from, I think that one was FBI. But it lists across the top. There's a bunch of different sites up there. Both rows. And I have no doubt there are some backdoor accesses on these pages, because I know these people are dying to share their boy lover porn. You can see some of their threads and discussions, and I also have no doubt that there's probably some coding going on. There's a lot of references to wearing shorts versus longs. I'm assuming would be pants for that, but I think they both may have a entirely secondary meaning. There is a lot of justification for what they're doing, and they think they are normal. They think we are the ones that are screwed up. That we're just not higher conscious level enough. And one of the threads even discussed how far the gay movement had come. And it started the same way. And guys, they're not lying about that. But they see themselves as just the next movement, really no different from gays. They just have a different sexual preference. Not only is it the same gender, but it's a different age classification. And they don't see this as abnormal whatsoever. Okay, here's another one. I think this was one of the links I clicked from the picture above. And it has access for more. And here's your basics. They're going to tell you about it. Activism. Advocacy. I mean, guys, you got to be kidding me. But it's coming. I've seen it. I've seen it pop up in places. Government officials. Psychologists trying to say we do need to recognize it. Not as a disorder, but as another sexual preference. Well, yeah, it's another sexual preference, all right, but it's wrong. Okay, so moving along, there are more of those. Again, I expect that there are backdoors on all of these pages. Okay, if you're wanting to read more on those images there, you can pause as you see fit and read what you need, and then click play and catch back up. Okay, this is a little summary of some of the threads that I caught up with on there. There's even a father and son, well, it was a stepson, looking for other father-son couples to have relations with. Actually, they used the term bond. And then there was a camp counselor trying to get a camper to, quote-unquote, go biking with him, but not on camp time. There was a grandmother arranging for her grandson, basically coddling him, and how mean all the other straight people and normal people are treating this kid because of his bizarre behavior, I guess. And then undoubtedly tons of more stories in those threads. I would recommend, if you decide to go venture into these for research purposes or to do some digging, I recommend using the Onion Tor browser. And when you download that, it basically hides your IP. It's a VPN, basically. I think that's right. So I would definitely recommend doing that. You don't want, any of these people in here hacking you, or you just never know. So use the Onion Tor, and that's Tor, and it'll open DuckDuckGo for the search engine within it once it gets open. This green picture here is the one where the stepdad and my stepson and I are looking for other dad-son couples to join us in 2021 for very private, discreet bonding parties. So I guess we're talking orgy level. Now this one says everyone must be over 18 to attend. I think that he is putting that there as cover and protection. Of course, the guys that responded, I opened those and read those, and they actually believed what he said, but I really don't think that that's what he meant. I think he just was trying to cover his butt. Here's this middle one here is about the camper and the camp counselor. So I asked a 13-year-old to mountain bike. It starts off, need help, urgent. He's freaking out. This pedophile is freaking out. He's a camp counselor. So I asked a 13-year-old to mountain bike with me from a camp I taught at. Now the dad is texting me and saying for me to provide my contact info, or else he'll find out from someone else. What the fuck? He's freaking out just because I asked to go biking. And I'm trying to call him, and he's saying, no, dude, I'm done. What the fuck do I do? And this next one is a response from one of, excuse me, let me brighten up my screen. A response from one of the other people in this chat regarding my experience as a dad makes me realize that anyone on this board has not tried to raise children. Teens want to get out on their own, experience new things and people. My oldest went to the pool. He had permission, found a stranger, and struck up a quote-unquote friendship with a, what is that? Boy lover, BL for boy lover, who had a reputation for not using protection during the AIDS epidemic, and also loved to brag about his conquests to potential victims of his attentions. Was it the jealous part of me who didn't like him? I came to find out that he was working for my wife at the, get this guys, pizzeria she was managing, and she liked him. She invited him into our home. The moment he opened his mouth in front of me, I disliked him. But there, I started to go down a road I had not intended. What point I wanted to make is that kids do stuff behind their parents' back. They get caught. Parents set new rules and watch for signs that the kid is doing wrong again. This may be what this is really all about now. My question is, did Gamma get the impression that the boy may be gay or into experimenting with sex? Dad may have caught the boy with another man in the past. Fireworks may have happened when Dad asked the boy about the bike ride and who was going. We just don't know, except for what Gamma has told us. Okay, and there were other comments in there too, but you got a dad here that's talking about relations with his own kid and being jealous of his kid having another older boy lover. Guys, Guys, it just doesn't get much more twisted. And he explains that he thinks part of this rage and anger that he felt was not because he was his father and that was his son. It was because he was jealous. Because they had that whole boy lover, father son thing going on. Okay, so that was that one. And this last one here. Well, it's not imaginary because Gamma is a boy lover and he is asking for advice on a boy lover board. The boy's father obviously picked up on something he said or did. Okay, guys, so this is just another reply to in the above conversation. Sadly, in today's world, we need to hide our attraction and make do with what little we can get. In my experience, simply inviting his dad along would show he's not trying to be alone with his kid and could lead to better things as trust is built up. So they're setting the stage for bamboozle, basically, making it look like it's harmless so as to gain access. Okay, and let me see what the last thing said. Here we go. Then there's the whole neoteny thing. Here we go with the neoteny. Y'all, I can't believe I've never heard of it before. Seen anything written, published, discussed, anything, anywhere. I looked on YouTube. One person had done a video on it, and it was basically talking about how it relates to amphibians and primates. I mean, amphibians and animals. So, here we go. Delaying puberty. That is what neoteny is in a summation. But deeper still, Epstein and Joy Ito, which was the director of the MIT Media Lab, I think it was 2018 or 2019 when he resigned. I may have the year wrong, and I think it shows it later. They were experimenting on genetically engineering people to look prepubescent for most or all of their life. This is seen in Asian women. Asian women have more of a childlike appearance. They have more neotenic DNA, or more neotenic genes on their DNA. It should also be noted that Southeast Asia is the hotbed for acceptable pedophilia. So, I mean, this is like a common thing over there. I've seen documentaries, I've read people's comments and stories where that's where you go to be able to do it and not worry about who's looking at you or who knows, because nobody thinks anything of it. It's like child prostitution is normal, and there are no repercussions for it or anything. So, this neoteny. This is largely why Epstein was so involved with universities. Cambridge also became one. More on that in a minute. Donating over $8 million to the MIT Media Lab and an initial investment to the now former director of the lab, Joey Ito, for his own private startup investment of over $1 million. The former lab director has also been to Epstein Island. Imagine that. Since his resignation, he has gone on to further study and develop advances with neoteny, creating programs or investment firms, whatever you want to call them, Neoteny 2, Neoteny 3, and most recently and current, Neoteny 4. It is based out of Cambridge. So, when he resigned, that's basically where he went. Off to Boston. This is like the place where this is now located is a part of campus, but off campus, I guess, so to speak. A search on 245 Main in Cambridge, Massachusetts will lead to more names that will likely have a dark story. Not to mention the existence of the China Hub that's on the 12th floor of this building, which allows for investments from China. So they've made this whole floor dedicated to easing accessibility between communications, business dealings, information, financing everything with China. And again, it's kind of separate from the university as a whole. So this whole building that's at 245 Main is noted to be a place for entrepreneurial startups, very innovative type startup businesses. So what they're doing is they're basically getting everything in there that is not permitted elsewhere or has to go by these guidelines, and they're not giving them any guideline. They can do whatever they want. There are no parameters for these startups, especially the ones that are doing a lot of the research, scientific research and experiments. Okay, if you find neoteny.com, I've spelled it out. I'm trying to skirt all these censors that the algorithms usually catch. You're not going to find much at that site. I know there are back doors there too. It only provides info, which you'll see below in just a second, in the About section. And the other that it's describing our team, which is the two funding partners of Neoteny 4. Now, granted, Neoteny 2 and 3, while aren't active with like the investment level, the profiles themselves or what is taking place within each of those is still ongoing. Okay, here we go. Let's look at this. And we're going to look at these highlighted sections too that are further down on some of this stuff, because each one of those is more than likely worthy of a dig. All right, here's the neoteny.com page. And there it says, number 1, the retention of childlike attributes through adulthood. So, we already know Jeffrey Epstein wants them to look young. He wants them flat-chested. He wants them, no hair. He wants kids. And this way, he could, make the whole population look younger. And have an endless supply. And one of the avenues I was looking at, one of the sites that was talking about the Neoteny had information about them already doing this work on people and creating this now, as if they were cloning embryos and growing them and making this happen now. So it's almost like they have their own little people farm. Okay, and then the second definition here of neoteny, it's saying a general direction of evolutionary change. And they want it their way. That's the evolutionary change they want. Okay, so Joey Ito here, this gives several other things. I'm just going to read through it and I'll pause on the notable comments. Joey is a venture capitalist, entrepreneur, writer, and scholar focusing on the ethics and governance of technology. As an activist, he works to tackle complex problems such as climate change and societal inequity and redesign the systems of scholarship and science. Anytime I see something that appears philanthropic, I see around it. Always look around all the things that look shiny and pretty, and look around it. Find out what's behind it. And I'm sure there are things to be found. Ito is the co-founder and board member of Digital Garage and serves on a number of for-profit, non-profit boards. Okay, first of all, is there such a thing as a for-profit, non-profit? Are we just missing a comma here or what? But that one has kind of befuddled me. Digital Garage, that could be looked into. That's a dig. He currently runs Neoteny, an early stage venture capital firm. Ito is also a co-founder of and a board member of the nonprofit Safecast, a primarily volunteer-run platform that publishes and advocates for open environmental data. In 2011, he received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Oxford Internet Institute for his work as one of the world's leading Internet activists. He received an honorary Doctor of Letters degree from the New School in New York City in 2013. I would dig a connection for connections there. And an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters from Tufts University 2 years later. Same thing. Dig it. In 2013, he was induced into the SNSW Interactive Hall of Fame. I don't even know what SNSW is, but it could possibly be a dig too. In 2017, he received the IRI Medal and was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. The following year, the Frederick Douglass Family Initiatives and the Anti-Racist Research and Policy Center named Ito to the FD 200, a list of 200 people whose work and activism on behalf of equality and freedom reflects the spirit of Frederick Douglass. So again, I would look around the backside of those and see if there's anything there. Just like Soros is behind I think it's Open Society Foundation. Yeah. Find out who's funding the activities that come out of these groups. Ito was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award from EPIC in 2019. He earned a Doctor of Philosophy degree from Keio University Graduate School of Media and Governance. Okay, media and governance. What does that make you think of that I hope you already are aware of? Project Mockingbird, media and governance. So that would be worth looking into to see if there's a dig there. And he was awarded that degree based on his thesis, The Practice of Change. That would also be a dig. There's so many things to dig, but I was dug out today. So I'll highlight that and hope that y'all will find some stuff and drop it in the comments. Ito is a co-author with Jeff Howe of Whiplash, How to Survive Our Faster Future. He served as director of the MIT Media Lab from 2011 to 2019. There is the answer to what was earlier. He resigned in 2019. Ito was chairman of the board of Pure Tech Health and was previously the board chair and chief executive of Creative Commons. Now, I should have highlighted Creative Commons. I guess I overlooked that one, but those need digging. He has served on other boards, including at the New York Times Company, shocker, Sony Corporation, the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation, the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, the Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers, the Mozilla Foundation, the Open Source Initiative, which is the best I was able to determine is not the same as the Open Society Foundation, which is Soros's foundation, and the Electronic Privacy Information Center. Now, if you think about it, if somebody's working on electronic, so we're thinking internet, Wi-Fi, that sort of thing, privacy. If he's working on creating privacy, then that means he probably has access to things that are supposed to be private but are not and need that protection. So that in itself, says he has enough of the knowledge to gain access to information of children or enemies. There's no telling. Ito was an early investor in many startup companies, including Flickr, Little Bits. I'm probably going to dig that one after I end this recording. Optimus, Ride, Form Labs, Kickstarter, and Twitter. Okay, so that was the description of him. Further down is his partner after this next thread tweet here. And I'll get to that in a second, but let me go ahead and read this. I had never heard of neoteny until my dig on this Gates-Epstein connection. Why is no one talking about this? They're trying to normalize and soon push everything that's ethically wrong. Pedophilia is not and never will be an acceptable sexual preference. No. Save the children. That was a big censor hashtag. Like yesterday, a couple days ago, they were pulling everybody's stuff down that had that hashtag on it. So that is why it looks like it does. All right, and here is the read on Adam Mullinax. It brings over 9 years. He's basically just an investor. So it seems there could definitely be more. Experienced investing in private equity and venture capital with a broad exposure to both business to business and business to whatever the C is, businesses. He brings strong expertise in sourcing, diligencing, and structuring new investments, as well as working directly with portfolio companies. He is also a vice president with Ambrosia Investments. We know what Ambrosia is. It's the not dessert, not food, I can't think of the word, but of the gods. An investment firm focused on the food and agriculture sectors, and previously worked at Beechwood Capital, Arlon Capital Partners, as well as Moelis and Company, and J.P. Morgan. And just to throw in a little extra side info, J.P. Morgan is the person who sabotaged Nikola Tesla's generator, condenser, I can't remember what the terminology was for it. Basically, the big doodad that would make it possible for everybody to have free, wireless, natural generated electricity. This is back in like 1924, I think it was. But they couldn't meter that electricity, but because it was coming from within the earth, it was coming from the wind, it was coming from the sun, and so J.P. Morgan, who was the financier of all of his inventions, projects, things that he was working on, speaking of Nikola Tesla, because they couldn't regulate it, he said, sorry, nope, can't go any further, and they went and blew up the big tower that he had made that was going to accomplish this. So, and ever since, we've still never gotten it. I need to do another video on that because I dug on that today too, and they're doing some experimenting with it now in New Zealand. So I'm very anxious to find out more about that and to bring that info to you guys. Okay. In finance and Leonard N. Stern School of Business at New York University. So there were some other things there that I didn't highlight that would be worthy of digs. On the Ambrosia Investments, the food and agricultural sectors, I would see that as a pretty big potential dig. We already know our food's different. Everything's fortified, enriched. And it's all these, it's not real stuff. It's synthetic vitamins. And even if you take a daily vitamin, every person's balance of nutrients and minerals is different. And when you pour these vitamins to it, you throw off the balance of the other ones because the whole body's function is to maintain homeostasis. And not to mention, these synthetic vitamins are a broken down component of what we would get. Take vitamin D, for instance. From the sun, you get the full spectrum that help, and that's what helps produce the vitamin D in your body. When you get vitamin D from the store, you're just getting one component of it. So like the cofactors, the things that work all together to make it do what it's supposed to do wholly, are absent in the things that you buy in the store. Vitamin C, it is a full spectrum as well, but what you get in the stores is just one component of it, ascorbic acid, which is counterproductive to iron. I could get into that. Could be a separate video. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that there. That was the end of it. But I just wanted to run through that for those people who didn't feel like reading. I read so much, sometimes I would like to just hear things myself. And sometimes I have Google dictate that for me. But oftentimes, Google can't for various reasons. So, anyway, guys, I hope that brought a little light on neoteny and just how far these people are willing to go to get what they want. All right. Good day to you guys. God bless.